I'm so bored. I haven't been doing anything nearly all week.
What are you talking about? You've been playing Cold Steel too. You can't be bored.
I mean, yeah, the game is really good, but... Huh? Who the hell? What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time coming, but at long last, we have actual information on East 10 Proud Nordics. A lot of what I want to go over is from a recent interview with Kondo, although there's some stuff on the website I want to talk about too. So enough with the intro, let's get straight to it. Alright, let's start off with arguably the most important info. East 10 Proud Nordics is dropping on July 31st, 2025, seemingly as a launch exclusive for the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, on one hand, I'm mad excited, mostly because I kinda predicted the game was gonna be out this summer, but on the other hand, Switch 2 launch exclusive. Now, as I've said in a past video, I'm not planning on getting a Switch 2 at launch. There just weren't any games that made upgrading seem worth it to me. However, I genuinely may have to reconsider it at this point. I'm not proud of having to buy a console for one single game, but it is what it is, you know? I've managed to do dumber things in the past after all. Plus, look at the bright side here. Since the Switch 2 doesn't run games like total ass, future East games aren't going to be held back. Since East 10 was built for the Switch 1, it didn't exactly look as great as it could have, though it's still a really good looking game. But with the extra power of the Switch 2, I can only imagine how much Falcom can improve on what East 10 brought to the table for future games in the series. East 10 feels more like one of the foundational games for the series, similar to 6 and 7. It's the first game adopting a completely brand new gameplay style. Of course, they aren't going to get every single thing down on the first attempt. I know I've constantly said how much I enjoyed East 10, but that doesn't mean there aren't things that could be improved upon for future titles. And hopefully, at least some of those improvements show up in Proud Nordics. East 6 hardly compares to Ultimate Felgana or Origin, and East 7 isn't anywhere close to 8 or 9. In the same sense, East 10 may be an amazing game, but further down the line, I bet Falcom is going to be able to improve the formula at an alarming rate. The base Switch is pretty much already being pushed to its limits, with how amazing Sky the First looks, or the fact that Horizon is somehow coming to base Switch as well. Falcom has already done wonders with the hardware, so a noticeable jump in power for what was the weakest system really gets me excited for the future of East. Alright, so we know Proud Nordics is going to be a launch exclusive for the Switch 2, but you're probably wondering what all they could add to make a re-release worth it. Well, Falcom finally shared some info on that, and to be honest, there's a bit more than what I was expecting. First off, there's the new island you will be able to explore. Well, technically new. The island is in the base game. It's even mentioned if you happen to sail close enough, but you just can't land there. That place is called Oland Island. In the interview, Kondo describes the place as a hard-to-reach island surrounded by steep cliffs, so even the people of Obelia Gulf don't know much about it. It does seem to have some connection to the Normans, as they once considered the island a place for a potential base. Apparently, the new content there is actually optional, which makes me wonder where exactly in the story Falcom expects you to go there. It's also stated that the content is about the length of one full chapter of the main story, which is slightly concerning. Granted, the chapters in East 10 are pretty decently sized, but for warranting a complete re-release, I kinda expected the story stuff to add a bit more. Hopefully the other content they add kinda makes up for it, even if slightly. Now, as for the new story being added, it's still hard to confidently say what the story will truly be about. But from the interview, it says that the story will delve deeper into the world and lore, seemingly of both the area of Obelia Gulf and maybe the world of East as a whole, focusing on Denmark, the East equivalent to Denmark, the Normans, and other elements as well. With how much Denmark was mentioned in base East 10, along with its significance here, I gotta wonder if they're trying to set up the next East game, or maybe just a game further down the line. I still want to believe that the next mainline East game is gonna be in Bratai, but now I can't exactly be too sure. Anyways, along with the new story, when Proud Nordics was first announced, they mentioned that Ado and Karja would run into a new mana user. Well, we finally know who it is. Knut Gamli, a top-class warrior and the King of Denmark's son. Now, what's really crazy, if I'm remembering correctly, is that this guy appeared in East 10. Again, that is if memory serves right, because he does look kind of familiar. Also, I just gotta say, this guy's design is fucking amazing, I swear to God, man. Toy 8 has really been locked in for East 10. I'll be totally honest, I was kinda iffy on the art style change from 9 to 10, but now I don't mind it at all. The art style has grown on me a lot, so seeing these new characters really gets me excited to meet them in game. And speaking of, there's actually another character we've been introduced to. Sir, a woman with glasses and a noticeable forehead has hit the East world. This here is Astrid Zaren. She's Knut's shield sister and right hand. She can't use mana, but she's exceptionally sharp and amazing at support. I'm not gonna lie to you, she might be top 3 when it comes to female East characters. I'd put her up there with the Prillis already. Am I biased because she has glasses and a noticeable forehead? Maybe. Do I care? Not at all. This is what peak character design looks like right here. Anyways, when the fact there would be another mana user was first revealed, I thought we'd end up getting a third playable character or something, but now I kinda doubt that's the case. That was kinda wishful thinking anyways, but I'm really excited to see what this new story has to offer either way. Besides, I don't think a third character to play as is entirely necessary for this game, especially if they expand on Ado and Karja's moveset a bit, which seemingly is what they've done. Thanks to the website, we've got even more new info to talk about. The first thing being a brand new mana action, Mana Hold. It seems to be similar to the Ultra Hand from Tears of the Kingdom. Maybe, I haven't played that game. But yeah, Mana Hold lets you lift and throw certain objects. It's hard to say if Mana Hold only works on these cube things seen in the web commercial and the website, or if it's usable on other things too. I think it'd be really cool if you were able to use Mana Hold on enemy projectiles. It could make for some really fun fights if they allow that kind of freedom of use. Next up are changes and new stuff you can do with Mana Ride. The big new thing is that there are Mana Ride races you can compete in, and traversal challenges to complete on Oland Island. They've also added a boost feature to Mana Ride. I'm kinda surprised this wasn't a feature in base 10. For being a prominent feature, if you weren't going down a hill or over water, there weren't that many reasons to use Mana Ride as much as I would have liked to. This added boost feature will make building up speed easier, and in turn make Mana Ride way more fun to use. It'll probably be really useful during the racing sections as well. There's also some extra challenges you can tackle while on Oland Island. The first being the Virgin Arena. Here, you can either fight normally or fight solo with just Ado or Karja. The enemies here are supposedly very tough, but you'll get some really good rewards if you manage to beat them. Unfortunately, they didn't mention what those rewards are, so we'll have to see for ourselves, I guess. In addition, there's the Muspelheim Shrine, basically the dungeon equivalent to Vermater, that super boss from base East 10. Upon meeting certain conditions, whatever those end up being, you will be able to access Muspelheim Shrine. It's described as an extremely difficult dungeon, filled with formidable enemies, various challenges that'll probably involve using all the mana actions at least to some extent, and the place even has a time limit, so it seems like they want you playing at your absolute best if you want to get through. There's also some rare items you'll come across called Deep Crystals. They can lift some of the restrictions on the dungeon, but I'm not gonna lie, I kinda want to go through the place while it's as difficult as possible. A ton of people have talked about how East 10 can get really easy if you know what you're doing, so hopefully this dungeon will prove to be a really fun challenge. Lastly, there seems to be some changes to the ship as well. While you're out at sea, you might come across a golden symbol out on the water. Entering one will throw you into a naval battle, and winning the fight will grant you something called a sea breeze. These items apparently greatly improve the speed of the ship. Depending on if the speed upgrades affect the base movement and not just boosting, this is a really welcomed addition. I've mentioned before how slow the ship feels at the beginning of the game, so if you're able to get sea breezes somewhat early into the game, it makes sailing around in the early game way more enjoyable. All of these changes and additions are honestly pretty cool, and just talking about it makes me wish I could play Proud Nordics already. But despite my excitement, I'm still slightly concerned about one thing. Something that was mentioned when Proud Nordics was first announced, but wasn't brought up in the recent interview. that being the whole game rebalance thing. It was stated that East 10 was being rebalanced, quote, from the ground up, and that Proud Nordics would feel like a new game, even to the people who played the base game already. Pretty bold statement, but I kinda had to believe it. I mean, how else would they warrant releasing the game a second time if things weren't being reworked significantly? I still want to be optimistic here, but the fact the new story content is only about one chapter long, and with the lack of info on what exactly was being changed or rebalanced combat-wise, I kinda can't help but be concerned that the game won't actually feel very different until you get to all the new content on Oland Island. To be fair, we've hardly seen any actual battles in Proud Nordics as of yet. The closest thing was that small section in the web commercial, so maybe in the future, as we see more of the game, more fights, and more boss battles, the changes and rebalancing they've done will be more noticeable. But honestly, that's really my only concern. Everything else they've shown, it seemed pretty good, all things considered. I'm really liking how certain areas of Oland Island look. This area here seems way more detailed than most places in the base game. Hopefully it'll feel just as fun to explore as well. But I can't be all excited about Proud Nordics without once again bringing up the best new addition.
She's so fine, she done pissing me off! How are you that fine?
And yeah, that's pretty much everything I had to say. I'm really happy to finally be able to talk about Proud Nordics this much. With how little they were talking about it at first, I was kinda worried I'd end up turning into a full-on Trails channel before we got any more info. Although I'm sure a certain someone would want that to happen. But yeah, I'm super excited for Proud Nordics. Even more so now with us finally seeing the new characters and content being added. I'm still kinda pissed about the fact I might have to buy a Switch 2 just for this game though. Although I might consider alternative methods to play Proud Nordics, that'll have to wait until later. Either way, I've got faith that Falcom is gonna make me proud with this re-release.
That was awful.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, that's all from me. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. And don't be afraid to share your thoughts about Proud Nordics in the comments. It's always nice to see some different perspectives on things. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.